I think that as a society, we are suffering from a rather severe case of alarm fatigue. Think about it. We are putting warnings and concerns on practically everything. Disney princess movies and My Little Pony are now rated PG. Disney has put sensitivity warnings on various episodes of The Muppet Show, often for nebulous reasons. While I can understand them not wanting to show the Confederate flag behind Johnny Cash, do we really need a warning because of Mad Dogs and Englishmen, or a 1-second gag about a Chinese monkey? Even obvious children's fare, like Cat Game, require you to claim that you are 13 in order to participate in any social functions. Similarly, we have put more and more explicit warnings on cigarette packaging without there being any noticeable effect. The list of what doesn't cause cancer in California is shorter than the list of what does. I'm not going to even touch on items like trigger warnings in college classes and law school. Other people with far more expertise have weighed in on that subject. My concern is something different. Something that we in the safety profession call alarm fatigue. The short description is that if you sound an alarm about something that too often ends up being false, alarms start getting ignored. This has been most talked about in nursing, but it's a big issue almost everywhere that has alarms. When I worked as a hospital volunteer, there was almost constant beeping from one crib or another, as a kid took a little too long to breathe or kicked the leads off again. In the years I worked in the NICU, I never once saw an actual emergency. But I heard an alarm every 2 to 5 minutes. It became background noise. The same thing happens in industrial plants. If something goes wrong, you get a flood of alarms, sometimes more than you can handle. There's also the problem of whenever something goes wrong, we elevate the priority of that alarm specifically, which means over time you go from a dozen priority 1 alarms to 100, many of which go off routinely. You mentally get tired of the alarms, and so you respond to them slower, or even compulsively press the silence button. To quote Syndrome, when every alarm is special, nothing is. It's not like we have a children's fairy tale about what happens when you sound a false alarm too often. So, come back to movies. The rating system has become so sensitive that what used to be a common rule about only being allowed to see G-rated movies isn't even possible anymore. The last truly big G-rated movie was Toy Story 4, and the one before that was Cars 3. However, both of these are Disney sequels to earlier G-rated films, and we know how much arm twisting the mouse can do. The last standalone G-rated film was Peanuts, 6 years ago now. 2016, 18, and 20 had no big-name G-rated movies at all. The list of G-rated movies is almost exclusively documentaries. And showings of old movies made it close to the top of the G-rated box office. The cause of this video specifically was My Little Pony. That's right, the My Little Pony movie released just this week is rated PG because of the themes concerning fantastic racism. Officially, My Little Pony is less suitable for small children than 2001: A Space Odyssey. Since almost nothing is rated G, we have lost an entire category that we used to use to show what was appropriate. We genuinely can't distinguish between materials for toddlers and preteens. This is a microcosm of a larger issue in our society. There are so many warnings there to cover everyone's derriere that almost all of them are ignored. Lying that you are 13 or 18 to get permission to view websites is so common that YouTube was forced to implement ludicrous restrictions on all content aimed at children, so that kids cannot be tracked independently. The obvious response is that now, even Disney and My Little Pony content isn't technically made for kids. We are escalating this further. I really don't know what the solution is, but I do know that this constant escalation isn't going to end well. We need to realize that we're not going to be warned about everything, and we really need to recalibrate our rating systems and what we put warnings on before they all become meaningless. Thanks for listening, y'all.